Hello everybody, subtle add-on to the other video I just recorded. I just thought it was a good idea to make this video. Now I'm back into the rhythm of, you know, well, the weekend I'll be back into the rhythm of uploading things. But I just wanted to make this video to talk about something that has been like a plague in my life for years. Now, it's important that you know, like, the general consensus of my personality. Something I pride myself a lot on is the fact I'm, like, very different to my generation of people. So people around my age, around this bracket, you know, they do a lot of drinking. You know, a lot of my friends do it, just a lot of people that I went to school with, or just people I know. You know, people around my age are a couple of years younger or older. They drink, they smoke, they do drugs, they go partying. At the end of the day, their life's their life. That's completely fine. But to the end of my days, I will always thank the Lord that I've never been interested in drinking. I have an alcohol cabinet, but I have like a glass of whiskey every month, or a beer on like a warm day. That's the extent of my drinking. I don't get drunk. I don't think I even can get drunk. I've tried to drink a lot, and I just don't get the same feeling everyone else does. But I don't do drugs either. I never touched drugs. I was like every other young person, I guess, well, youngish. I was interested in them when I was younger, but I never got the chance to do them. And when I got older, I just lost interest. So by the time I was offered drugs, I just didn't care. So I've never touched drugs. And partying I've done a couple of times, and it is the most boring fucking thing I've ever done in my life. Something that is supposed to feed into your dopamine just completely bores the fuck out of me. I hate clubbing. I hate anything clubbing adjacent. I think it's actually boring. Like the loud music, the dancing, just the drunk people. I don't think it's a good environment. I don't like it. Again, if you're into any of those things, as long as it's moderate and you're not addicted, that's completely fine. That's up to you. But I will thank the Lord that until to the end of my days, that the only vice or addiction that I've ever had was smoking. And it's been one of my regrets, because I pride myself on all of these things, but I think it would have been a much better thing to be proud of if I hadn't done any. Thankfully, smoking's the only thing I've ever done. I've drank alcohol, but I've never gotten wild with it. I've never properly, you know, partied hard, you know, stuff like that. And I've obviously never done drugs. So it's hard, you know. There's only one of like everything there that I've mentioned that I've never even touched. But the other two, I never had an interest in. I just did them. But with smoking, it was different. Vaping I've tried before. I just couldn't get into it. It's not the same. I don't like the sweetness that you get from a vape. I think that the texture's too thick. I just don't like it. With cigarettes, it's very weird. My first cigarette when I was 16, and it was when one of my relatives was in the hospital. I was having a bad time, and one of my friends at the time said, "Oh, maybe you should have a smoke, it might help." So I had a smoke, didn't help. I fucking coughed my guts up. And then I didn't touch a cigarette until I was 18, and I started, like, I bought a pack. I was trying to get into it because, like, some of my friends were doing it, and I just couldn't get into it. And then it turned to 2023, and me and my dad did a job for my uncle. Was doing some work in the back garden, and it was like, I can't remember how long we were there. I think we were there roughly 8 hours, and every hour on the dot, I would have me and my dad would have a cigarette. My dad said, "Oh, you know, you're old enough." Well, I'd been old enough for a while, but basically he said, "Oh, do you want to have a cigarette?" I was like, "Yeah, fuck it," you know. So I had a cigarette, and they were roll-ups, and the first like 3 I didn't really bother about, but it was like after the 4th or 5th one, I was like, "Oh shit, this is pretty cool." Like, it takes, you know, it fucking like kind of de-stresses you a bit, which obviously I knew, but, you know, I'd never, like, the past times I'd smoked, I'd never properly inhaled, so I didn't really understand the hype. But when you inhale, obviously, you get all the fucking chemicals in. It does its job. I was like, oh damn. And from that point on, I was a smoking fiend. I was getting pouches every week, and I was on pouches for a good year. It wasn't until 2025 where I got my new job, where I actually started to have proper good money to be able to afford to get straights. So I just fell off the pouches. I like roll-ups, but I don't like them as good as straights. So I would buy packs. I would buy at least 3 packs of cigarettes from the shop every week. So that was good £50 roughly out of my paycheck going strictly towards cigarettes. And people just didn't understand. People were like, oh, why don't you fucking buy pouches, it will save you money. I was like, nah. I like the cigarettes. I was like, oh, fair enough. Obviously if I could get them cheap, I would, but I didn't really have any dodgy shops like that near me, so I just didn't bother. Also, it's probably a good thing as well, because they are obvious. Like, normal cigarettes ain't good for you. They definitely ain't good for you. I don't know what's in them, but that ain't tobacco. I don't know what the fuck was that, but but I smoked for a while. I was bad, like to the point where if it was late at night and no shops were open nearby, or I didn't have any money, or whatever, I didn't have a lighter on me, I would stress, and it was bad. I was addicted for sure. I can admit that, genuinely, and it was bad. I remember stealing some of my dad's tobacco from his pouch. I remember using the toaster to light a cigarette because I didn't have a lighter on me. There were some bad things. I never did anything dodgy to get a pack of cigarettes. I'm not that bad. I know damn well some friends of mine that would do some homosexual things for cigarettes, or for like worse. I wouldn't. Luckily, I've never gotten that bad. But petty stuff like that I was doing. But it wasn't until, and again, I was like a chimney. I was like a damn chimney. I was smoking. In my prime, I was probably doing a good pack a day. I think over the years it mellowed to kind of about 10, and then roughly about 6. And now, I'm happy to say, I barely do it at all. I don't do it at home anymore, which is surprising because now my gaming room is in my shed. All I have to do is just step outside and have a cigarette, and I don't even feel the urge to do it. It's like a good feeling. The only time I smoke is when I go out, like if I'm out with my friends, or if I'm out at like a social thing, or even if I'm at work, I'll light a cigarette. But when I'm at home, I feel nothing. And if I go around my friends now and I don't have cigarettes, or I go to work and I don't have cigarettes, it's a bit of a letdown. But I don't stress. I don't sit there scratching my neck fucking sweating, which is something that I would have done. If back in the day, if I didn't have a pack of cigarettes, I just wouldn't have gone into work. That was just simple as, because I was bad on it. But now it's not like that, and I thank the Lord. Ever since I started smoking, I've noticed significant differences. For one, poorer sleep quality. 2 would be obviously endurance struggles, lung trouble, breathing troubles. 3 would be excessive mucus, just stuff like that. And number 4, the one that affected me the most, and the one that probably worked, was the headaches. I don't know. Obviously not everyone gets it, but a lot of people do share the headache trouble. Basically, obviously, nicotine, it can go to your head and give you a headache. It doesn't do it to me all the time, but for a good chunk of it, it was. And most people who know me just know that I hate headaches. I'm very bad for them. I don't. Mostly what I get is ocular headaches, stuff to do with my eyes. And I think it might be something to do with my retinas. My pupils are completely fine. I've been to the opticians. My pupils are fine. I don't need glasses, but my retinas I think I'm very sensitive to light, and so I think that's the cause of my headache. So I get them bad enough without the cigarettes, let alone the cigarettes just giving me them as well. So whether it's like ocular headaches or just regular headaches, I was just getting them bad, whether it was the cigarettes or just light. And so I thought, well, you know, I can't stop the ocular thing, but I can stop the regular headaches. So I guess, like, subconsciously I just stopped smoking. And you know, there's some stuff I could do to stop the ocular headaches, like, I don't know, wear sunglasses inside perhaps, but I'm not really, you know, it's most of the time it's manageable, so it's not that bad. But yeah, the smoking was just, honestly, it was just bad. At some point it was like staining my hands and making them yellow. I don't know what that was about. That happened once. Well, not once, but it was happening, like, I think a few months into my smoking journey, and it was like happening for like a month straight, and my skin was just turning yellow. I was like, what the fuck is happening here? It hasn't happened again, but like, it just kind of went on for a month and then stopped. I was really confused. And then obviously, you know, from the smoking you get the bad breath, and it's just fucking, it's not something I miss. I'm happy I've gotten out of it, really. Like, I'm not completely out of the park, I still do it, but I'm not addicted anymore. And that's a good feeling, because addiction's horrible, and I don't, you know, I try to, you know, I've never been addicted to anything like life-altering. Like, I guess smoking can be life-altering, but you know what I mean, like, nothing where I've ever been too serious about it. But having been addicted to a life-shaking thing like smoking can be, I'm always happy to preach about it, you know, addiction, whenever I can, and help people with it. Obviously, you know, people can go their whole life without smoking and get lung cancer. It's just as simple as, I've had these talks with people before where they say, oh yeah, I smoke, but then, you know, you could go your whole life without smoking and still get lung cancer. And, you know, some people can go their whole life smoking and not get lung cancer. I said, yeah, you've got a point, but, like, wouldn't you want to do anything to minimise the risk? I always say this to people. I was like, just because the statistics are in your favour now doesn't mean they always will be. And I think a lot of people struggle to comprehend that. I don't know why. It's such a simple thing to understand. Like, just because things aren't happening, like, negative, you know, just because you're not getting negative consequences of your actions now doesn't mean that your life is gonna forever be untainted. But I don't know, people have their own philosophies and ideologies and stuff like that. Fair enough, I can give a fuck. I mean, that's a lie. I don't like seeing people get hurt, but as long as I know that I've made the conscious effort to help, then it takes a lot of stress off my back. But yeah, sorry for the app sesh. I just wanted to make a video basically condemning smoking. If you smoke, put down the cigarette. Obviously, vaping is its own thing. It's its own addiction, and, you know, obviously, a lot of you may not agree, but I can safely say, in my opinion, that vaping is a lot more addictive and a lot worse than smoking in regards to how convenient it is and how accessible they are, especially to kids. They do appeal a lot to kids. They more so did back like a few years ago, but they still kind of do, with all the sweet flavours and the brandings. That's its own separate thing. I've never been addicted to vaping. I've barely even touched a vape in my life. I've had one, but I've not even used it. Do you know what I mean? Well, I got a vape when I was in college, and I just barely even touched it. I had a few puffs, and I was like, this is fucking gross. I don't know why people are doing this. But yeah, it's just something I've never been addicted to, so I can't sit here and condemn it as much as other people could. But I'll say the same thing about smoking or vaping as I will smoking. Try and put it down. Try and focus your vices into healthy habits. You know, if you're addicted to something healthy, then it's not great, but it's better. Get addicted to something like fucking mints or something. I don't know. I would say chewing gum, but one of my science teachers in school told me a story once about a relative of his, I think, started chewing gum when she quit smoking, and basically what that did was it made her stomach think that she was eating. Obviously, you don't swallow gum, so when your brain knows you're eating, your stomach releases activates the acids that start burning. And obviously, if nothing goes into your stomach for it to burn, it kind of just starts burning itself, I think was the general gist. And because she was doing that a lot, I guess she burnt a hole in her stomach and died. And I think that was the story. Very horrific. And that just coming from chewing gum. Obviously, it won't happen to everyone. It probably happened because she was a bit older, I think. But I still wouldn't. I still wouldn't fucking recommend it. Chew gum. On a fucking healthy basis, sure, but not all the time. Yeah, you don't know how strong your stomach is, so I wouldn't suggest it. But yeah, just try and focus on a healthier habit. Like, again, mints. You consume mints, they go into your stomach, so you're fine. And other things that will not end in a catastrophe. But I've yapped too long. I'm going to go now. I hope I've helped someone, and yeah, peace.